Perfect. If we're going to be talking about some Nightwing comics, probably need to grab the Nightwing comics. Can't do that without them. Have to do that. I also don't need to vamp right now. Just roll the intro. Now I have everything I need. Now we have the comics that we need that we'll be talking about today. This is episode 4. Today we'll be going through issues 1/2 and then 19 through 29, even though that's not what's collected. It's fine. Let's get into it. We've got a lot of comics. Starting with issue 1/2. Nightwing half off. Nightwing half. Nightwing 1/2. I don't know how you would say it. This is some loud plastic cover here. Also, this says this Nightwing 1/2 was available only through a special offer in Wizard: The Guide to Comics number 77. Each copy is part of a limited edition which was distributed in a special protective holder with a copy of this certificate. Is this the special protective holder? Because, okay, it definitely just seems like a bag and board. Also, we know for a fact this wasn't necessarily true because last time saw this offer in there. You could have cut it out and mailed it in, I'm pretty sure. But okay, sure. So this is what's collected as part of that, and we're just going to get through it here. So into it. Nightwing 1/2. Nightwing half. Nightwing The Breaks. We've got an interesting start. This is kind of a police convoy backstory that's going on, and they're moving lunch meat. One of the guys we talked about last time, Deaver. Although Nightwing's keeping an eye on what's going on, he's distracted by a dog. In the city, people leave their dogs on top of rooftops because they don't have backyards. Because of the dog, Nightwing lost them, and now it's Oracle to the rescue, who was enjoying her own time until Nightwing interrupted. But then we jump over. Blockbuster. What's going on here? The entire point of this, what I made a note here, was if Deaver talks, Blockbuster is screwed. Hence, this entire issue is about trying to get to him. They're trying to get to him. Nightwing's trying to protect him. It's all about lunch meat. Nightwing's in the middle of a workout when Oracle pops in to see what's going on there. Of course. She's figured out which hotel, and it's because they ordered for dinner. And it's pretty obvious, so Nightwing's off to do that. But Clancy, remember her? The landlady. She stops in order to reveal her entire plan. She's trying to marry Nightwing. Not so subtle. Cool. So this is neat, where they're holding lunch meat. It's one of a couple different locations. That was the whole point of what they have to nail down. The one where he actually is, where they ordered the pizza, is the Great White Mall. It's a humongous hotel mall in a shark. And that's pretty cool. It's, of course, a race to get to the lunch meat. I can't believe his name is the lunch meat. It's a race to get to him. Blockbuster's men are going after him. He's got his crooked cops, the whole thing, but Nightwing's trying to save him from the crooked cops and take him to the good cops. There's a whole fight scene that takes place. This is pretty cool. Guess who gets there? No surprise. Nightwing, right in the nick of time, can save him and get him out of there before the grenades explode, because of course there are grenades exploding all over this shark fin hotel. And then the moral dilemma of, well, what are you going to do with me now? You're going to take me to the crooked cops who will put a bullet in my head? Or are you going to, Well, Nightwing actually has a pretty good idea there. He's just going to give him back to the good cops and go, hope you learned your lesson, do better this time, because I'm not going to be there next time. And that was it. That was the whole issue. But this is actually pretty cool. It kind of gives you going into here. So this is all just ads and ads and ads and a bit of behind the scenes with some sketches. This is pretty cool. Massive quake rocks Gotham. Batman Cataclysm on sale in February. This is February of some year. I'm actually not sure, and I forgot to write down. So that was Nightwing 1/2. Nightwing half. I don't know. But either way, it came with a certificate of authenticity, and I bought it for $5. Ooh. I don't think it was nearly as exclusive as they made it out to be, since I bought it for $5. But hey, pretty cool. And it is kind of necessary for you to... Not really. Did anything in that issue move the story forward in a way that they didn't cover? Next. Cataclysm. Now, this says April of 98. So maybe what was happening in Batman happened before, which, yeah, kind of makes sense because they just go straight into it here, and I was a little lost at what had happened. Full page spread. Everything is falling down. It's crazy. This was an entrance to this comic, that's for sure. Introduction is the word I was looking for. So there's a story going on. An earthquake has hit Gotham, which also would Bloodhaven, the whole thing. It's a little less there, but it definitely rocks Gotham, as it said. And there's a side story here, which is kind of the main story. There's a story arc here. What's going on is there's a child and a mother trapped under a highway, a collapsed highway, and the water starts rising. Dick is at work, but then he's off. Got to go become Nightwing. He knows he's not going to be able to get into the city by car because the highways. So he goes to the Nightwing mobile. Why not? I never mentioned that before, but where is he going first? He actually goes to the Batcave to go check on what's going on there. And, well, it doesn't look good. This is rough. Oof. They're trapped under there. They can see, thanks to the kid's glow-in-the-dark frog, his Frankie Frog glow light that they got at a kiddie meal at Belly Busters. It's funny, and yet there's also just tons of people trapped and maybe alive, maybe not, underneath all this bad stuff that's going on. It's not great. But we got to cut back to Tad, obviously. During all of this, what is Tad up to? He's trying to come up with a name. Captain Justice, the Inhibitor, Mr. Punisher. Yeah, so like I said, oof. It's rough. It's a bad stuff that's going on. I actually wonder, I don't know what was happening in 98, 97, 98. I don't know. I know that there have been earthquakes that have devastated the world throughout my lifetime. I've heard about several of them. I'm wondering if this is a reference to some of the stuff that's going on there. It's just really dark for the beginning of a Nightwing arc. Or maybe not. I mean, some of the other stuff we've been talking about have definitely dealt with some heavy subjects. But yeah, there's this going on. They're trying to call 911. They have a cell phone, but it's not, yeah. It's about to go dark and not good, but guess who's there? Nightwing. Trouble is, he can only take them out one at a time. So it's pretty intense on who's going to go. Obviously, women and children first. That's what they're trying to do. He's trying to get out as quickly as he can. And then it's a roller coaster. I read through this very quickly and then went back to make sure I didn't miss anything because, I was just fully entrenched in the story. Of course, throughout the midst of that, this kid's all scared and, oh man, are you going to save mom too? Batman? Yeah, sure, Kenny. No problem. I really wasn't sure if the mom was going to make it out. I thought we were not going to have a good ending. I mean, a happy ending here. It'd be good either way because it's very intense. But everything's closing in. The water's rising. Not going to be able to do it. She now has to swim down so that Nightwing can get her from the other side, escape through the collapsed highway. A bus, I mean. They're swim down to the front of the bus. You can get out that way. So she's got to get down there. Action, action, action. He's busting through the glass of there. What's going to happen? Barely does it. Like I said, action-packed. What a way to start this out. Oh, boy. Now, the Cataclysm continues in Batman 553. I didn't look to see if I have that one. I'm just reading Nightwing, so I don't actually know. But yeah, it's bad stuff that's going on. Everything's kind of rocked here. Issue 20. That's an opening. Yeah, is she okay? Good question. Didn't know about that. Yes, thankfully she is. Find out right after. She's all right. Apparently the building is earthquake proof. So Batman, thanks to Bruce. Oh, actually, I think I missed this the first time. This is GCPD, Gotham City Police Department. That's why. Okay, so they're holed up there. That's like the middle of the city. This is decades later. I think, if I remember correctly, in the video game that I was playing, Gotham Knights, that's the location of what do they call it? I don't remember, but that's like their home base there. That's not the Batcave, because then they're like in the city. I did not realize that's where she was located. So clearly that's been a running thread for 20 or 30 years. Anyway, Barbara's okay. Everything's good. But, Batman's missing. Oh, well, okay. First, Robin shows up. He's cool. Everything's good. Except Batman's missing. So then, rough stuff's going on, right? The city's in ruins, trying to get people out, put out fires, all the bad stuff that happens after an earthquake. And you're seeing it kind of from these people's perspective, the police, the firefighters, all of this crew down there. And there's this Detective Hawk. I didn't get this at first. I made a note here being like, who is this guy? I have no idea what's going on. And then they're like, oh, I work night shift. You're not used to seeing me during the day. Like, I don't recognize this guy in the slightest from any of the various times that I've seen. He gets it. Commissioner Gordon gets it. They understand what's going on. It's Batman. It's Bruce Wayne. I don't recognize him like this at all. He's got a mustache. I didn't know who it was. Anyway, that's what's going on there. You get a bit of news reporting, what's going on there. There's a package being delivered to one of the reporters. That's weird. And then you cut back to the Wonder Boys, as they called them. I think they said Boy Wonder, actually. But anyway, they've got that. And the Batcave is going to need some construction done, like, quickly. Stuff's going down. And the buildings are falling. Bad. Cool image. But yeah, bad stuff. And then the reporter, you're going to need to have a look at this tape that she got. That's what was in the package. But first, back to the boys. This was something I didn't realize. So this is Tim Drake, right? I think that's the Robin here is Tim Drake. I'm pretty sure. He has a family outside of the stuff that's going on. The what now? Okay, interesting. Also, this is interesting. Didn't know about this. This will probably come up later. When I'm reading them, I read them on the tablet. I've mentioned that before, but just as a reminder here for this stuff. So I don't actually, this is the first time that when I sit down and open these comics, this is the first time I've ever actually opened these specific comics, and it doesn't have the extra stuff in there. So that's interesting that they did a mini series. I think I actually collected some of this. I don't think I have all of them, but anyway, we'll talk more about that later. So yeah, Tim Drake, Mr. Drake, right? Tim Drake's father, Mr. Drake. I don't know what his name is because I didn't know that he had a family. I don't guess I know Tim Drake's background, but it's probably because I'm reading Nightwing and not reading Batman comics or Robin comics. But anyway, yeah, he goes to check up on him and has to change out of it. I think I do actually learn later on he doesn't know what he does. It's a secret that it's Tim Drake as Robin from his family as well. I'm pretty sure that's how it goes. Did aliens kidnap the Dark Knight? What is this? Oh, Alan Grant. I think I recognize that name. Batman the Abduction. What? That's nuts. Anyway, families reunited. There's a sweet moment. Not something you get often in the comics. Oh, okay. So remember from a while back, there was a couple issues. I don't remember. At some point, there was a Herald. I didn't know who that was. Yeah, okay. There's another mention of Herald. I guess he's a 3 feet tall mechanic who's keeping the vehicles running. Don't know anything about that. That's probably from a Batman issue somewhere around there. But I guess he's got Alfred and he's got Harold. So they're safe. I mean, they're safe. He's down there. He's looking through all of them and they're okay. They're in some kind of excavator trying to like clear out the cave. Still, no one's ever seen Batman. I mean, in the Quake, obviously people have seen Batman, but no one knows where he is. Well, I mean, he's out there like as a civilian saving people, pretending to be a Detective Hawk. But anyway, remember the tape? Remember the reporter? Maybe not a natural disaster earthquake. Maybe somebody caused this. Interesting. So yeah, spoiler alert. I don't know. This is continued in Batman 554, which I again didn't look for or read or anything. So that's the end of that storyline. At least some people are okay, and you do find out, but that's one of their, try to get you to buy every possible comic and every thing slightly related to it. So they spread stories across multiple things. So if you're only collecting a Nightwing issue, you're not going to get the rest of that story. Moving on. Issue 21. Nightwing. Spelled slightly different. I don't know what's going on with this. This was one that I do remember while I was comic hunting. Apparently I paid $5 for this. Unless it was on sale or I got a discount or something. That would happen, especially when you'd spend a certain amount at these places. When I was picking up all these old issues and hunting them down, I just remember this. This stuck out in my mind. When I got to it and I looked at the cover, I went, oh, I remember this image. I've seen this image multiple times. No, no, who's this? What's going on? No, just remember it's Amygdala. He's fine. He's just a big softy, apparently. But, you know, I feel bad for him. He's like, oh man, I'm evicted. I found a job. It's like, no. It's damaged because of the earthquake. Remember that earthquake that we just talked about? So the building's been damaged. But then this guy shows up. They are actually all being evicted. So kind of a 1-2 punch there. I feel bad for him. Yeah, that's unfortunate. They're not even going to try to save the building. They were just looking for an excuse to tear it down. And now that there's been earthquake damage, it's done for. So all these people are going to have to find a new place to live, which is horrible. And they have until the morning when the trucks will show up. So they give them almost no time, and then it's time to go. That's unfortunate. Then here's Nightwing, swinging into action like he does, going after everything here. Vanilla burglaries was the note I made when I was reading this part. Like, that's funny. But yeah, just looters in an earthquake, unfortunately. So we're still dealing with the after effects of what's going on there, but back in Bloodhaven, it's not as bad. It definitely affected it, but it's not nearly as devastating as what was going on before in Gotham. Still, not good, though. Just, you know. So, all right, this is important. Something's going on here. There's some robberies happening, looting, same kind of stuff. People with guns, bad guys, stealing cash, everything that's happening there. But stop there. Evildoers, you'll now face justice at the hands of Nightwing. Tad. This legitimately cracked me up. He's doing this, everything's happening there, and they just go, yeah, right, and then open fire. So I legitimately thought, oh, wow, okay, what's happening here? And I was like, he got his butt kicked, right? But he's got like bulletproof armor or something. Back to the storyline of them being evicted. Oh no, what's happening? You know who doesn't seem very concerned about this? Dick Grayson. Why not? Apparently he should have done something months ago. We get a bit of what's going on here. There's a phone call to somebody. That's interesting. Well, you know, that Mr. LaGrange, if you remember from before with that stuff, I didn't remember it. I didn't realize what was going on. It took me another look through to figure out what was happening here. But also we got to cut back here. Remember Dudley Soames? Got his head twisted around backwards. He's being rehabilitated. That's still happening. That's happening. It's still going. Head twisted around. All that. More on that later. But first, back to the eviction. These people don't want to go. They've got protest signs. Everything's happening, but they're being kicked out. Here are the construction guys to kick them out. No, to bring the building up to code. What? They were paid in full to rehabilitate the whole building. And in the meantime, all the residents are staying in a hotel, a fancy hotel. Wait, what? Someone bought the building out from under that guy? What's going on? Gee, I wonder. Who would be rich enough to have that taken care of? Maybe it's this guy. Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't think about it. I guess he's got money now. Remember where he barely had money and could barely get into the place, and then there was the trust fund, and so now he's got like a bunch of, well, I guess technically he only has one car that he swaps out with all that stuff, and now money's no longer an object. He bought a whole building that he lives in. So to end us out here for this issue, Blockbuster. We got to get back to that. You know what's going on there? They hear about Nightwing being in the hospital. Uh-oh. It's not actually Nightwing in the hospital. This was when I went, oh, it wasn't body armor and stuff. He actually got shot. He got shot a lot, but apparently he's at least still alive there with what's going on. And I shall send my representatives to finish the job. Can you guess what's happening next time? 22. What's going on here? Gee, I wonder. But also, wait, what? What? Nightwing and the Justice Force. What? What? I mean, technically, I suppose that's not copyright infringement. The Justice Force and all of these people who look pretty similar, but maybe they're not exactly the same. Yeah, so still in the hospital, he's dreaming. But hold on. The most exciting thing that they've been teasing since the beginning of this series. He finally went out on a date with his landlady. Okay, cool. However, something's, you can't have nice things. Sorry, Dick. So it's Barbara calling to check on him because she obviously heard the news that Nightwing is up in the hospital full of gunshot wounds. Well, no, he's fine, which means somebody else is up in the hospital full of gunshot wounds. So he takes off, and, she's not too happy about that. Surprise, surprise. But he's got to swing into action because obviously when you hear that there's a vigilante up in the hospital, who's going after that vigilante but everybody who has a thing for him? Not that kind of thing, a kill him thing. I also made a note, I'm just going to come back here. The movies that are on what's currently playing, Prognosis Negative, Cry and Cry Again, and Death Blow. I couldn't make out what number 2 is, but that might be all of them. These are all, it's actually relevant to me currently. I'm watching Seinfeld for the first time. I saw episodes here or there, but actually sitting down and watching all of them back to back. These are all the fake movies that they would use from the show. So I thought that was a neat little Easter egg to anyone who was also watching Seinfeld at this point in time, or had been watching Seinfeld. Was it off the air by 98? I don't know when it ran. Not the point. It's pretty much, I think the notes that I made here as I was reading through it, the rest of the issue is pretty much nonstop action in the hospital, defending off Tad from everyone who wants to kill Nightwing, including, remember this guy, Stallion? He showed up a few issues back, but I don't know who this guy is. Nightwing grabbed a coat. He's pretending to be a doctor. All these guys are coming in with just guns and guns and guns. They say it at some point. I don't remember which page it is. That other guy with Stallion is a new mook. That's his name. No, I wrote down Brutal, like brutal, but with an E on the end. So maybe it is still like brutal, or I don't know. I don't know how you. Sure, fight. Lots of knives, lots of fighting, lots of stuff. Action. It's really cool. A fun read with everything that's going on here. And Tad is basically out of it, doesn't know what's going on. Nightwing grabbed all of the equipment. He's like, I don't know what's keeping him alive and what isn't, so it's all coming with us. He's just got all this. But then he rushes him off to another hospital. They're in the back of an ambulance. It's Alfred. They're taking him to Gotham so that he can actually be healed up. And they'll just keep his identity a secret. And obviously they've got Mercy General has connections. I wonder if Gotham is, I wonder if Mercy General Batman owns, honestly, or Bruce Wayne. It seems to be whenever they need something, it's just they've got it solved because they've got all the money in the world. Anyway, that's issue 22. We're kind of moving quickly. We move into issue 23, one of the ones that was not collected as part of this thing, and there's a good reason for it. I'm just going to real quickly go through this one. This is Brotherhood of the Fist, part 4 of 5. Another, part of another bigger series. I don't know where Brotherhood of the Fist took place in all the other ones. I'm going to guess Batman. And also you'll see with some other stuff, there's a bunch of bodies. We're just real quick it's all over the place. There's a bunch of dead guys. Nightwing and Robin are trying to figure out what's going on. All these dead guys have masks on. And you also get a bit of this guy. I didn't know exactly. I knew who he was, obviously, but I don't know anything about the character at this point in time. This is Green Arrow, I think. I looked it up. The second Green Arrow. Anyway, what? Bamboo Monkey? What is going on here? Some characters I don't know at all. Fight scene with Bamboo Monkey. Stop in to see Oracle with these guys. Batman's trying to figure it out. Like I said, it's kind of all over the place. You don't get that much Nightwing. Deathstroke is involved with these guys, who I also still don't know who they are. I at least know who Green Arrow is, although I didn't know this particular Green Arrow. Connor, I think his name was, what we put on there. Yeah, I didn't know what was going on. It's fun read. I enjoyed it, but I was very lost throughout the whole thing. And it doesn't really matter that much to any of the other stories that we were currently reading. So just like the wedding in Princess Bride, we are going to skip to the end. You get a reveal of Lady Shiva Wusan. I'm sure I didn't pronounce that correctly, but anyway, that's where it ends. Cool. It very clearly meant to be an arc of Brotherhood of the Fist. Go read that separately, collect all those comics. Didn't pertain to too much here in particular. So moving on. Issue 24, Nightwing's doing some light reading. The Forgotten Dead. What's what? It's my reaction when I was reading it. I wrote down as a note, is this a comic inside of a comic? Am I reading Watchmen? No, it's a story in the cop bar of what's going on. Dick is hearing a story told by one of the cops who could never solve one of his old cases, right? There's a whole thing here. It made me go back and make sure I was reading the right comic, because honestly, it made me think that this wasn't a Nightwing comic, but somebody got shot. A bunch of people got shot. And I also felt bad. Somebody took a stray to the chest who was just going to feed the birds in the park. And I went, oh, that's sad. Bunch of people dead. Couldn't figure it out. Didn't know why. Well, what's going to happen here? Well, he's one of the good ones. So what do you think's going to happen? Nightwing's on the case. He's going to try to solve this 15-year-old, is it 15-year-old crime? Yes. Okay, so here's something. He gets a clue here about what the statement from the dying man was, with a boy with no hair. And I just put, well, this took a turn. Nightwing goes to visit some neo-Nazis. What? Yeah. Wait, can you guess what happens? He beats the snot out of these guys. Yeah. I was very surprised with what was happening here. I did not expect to see this in a comic. It just took a turn. So more trying to solve the crime. You get some back and forth. He calls in the big guns, which is Oracle, trying to solve this, to figure out exactly what's going on. And then he's off. Right, here's the reminder of what was happening, because I've forgotten about this character and the name itself. Eddie Min, of what was going on, saved the lives of his kids when he first got to Bloodhaven. That was the very first thing that happened when he gets there, right? And they weren't born yet. That was when he was saving the sperm. That very first thing. So he goes to see, but Eddie's not there. He talks to his wife. Take it a bit of an insult that he shows up uninvited when stuff's there, like when Eddie's not home, and then starts questioning about a crime from 15 years ago. So he's got to get out of there. Front doors for suckers. That's, just bust through the glass. So he starts piecing together here, right? He's actually doing some crime investigating and detective work, which is pretty cool. He had no shell casings found, even though there were 30 shots from 9mm. So it could be this, or maybe from a distance. Well, what does that mean? So he starts going and investigating and figuring it out. And there's also this here, and that guy, what he said, the boy with no hair. Well, all of the kids in this painting and this mural here have bunnies. They got rabbits, but this one kid doesn't. So maybe why? There's a window right above it. Can you see what's happening here? So now, stay with me. We're going to go through the end of it here of what's happening. He goes up to there. He goes in the window. Obviously, that's what the guy saw with what was happening here. His final words. Boy with no hair. It was above that window. That's where the shooter was. He happened to see it. So he hours of searching in a dusty barn. I don't know why he called it a barn, but anyway, he finds a shell casing. And then Oracle goes and looks, and they figure out who it is, and they get a thumbprint off of this, right? Everything's here. And they gotta get to the cop now. So somebody just, drops it off with what's happening after everything here. He drops it off. He calls in a tip on this guy. He's helping the cop out, right? He's giving him that stuff, and he gives him that tip, and he says, oh, go talk to this guy who said, and he's like pretending to be, Nightwing is clearly pretending to be somebody else who's been in jail with this guy who was the shooter, who's back in jail, who says that was the guy who did it, who then went, who goes after this, and okay, cool. That was the end of it. There's the end of the issue, the whole thing that happened there. Is that enough evidence? The word of someone else who's made up, who you can't interview ever again, to go interrogate somebody else. You're just basically hoping that guy who's in jail is going to commit to the 15-year-old crime at that point, because the thumbprint on the shell casing. Is that enough evidence really to prove that? Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, that was issue 24. Just kind of almost a one shot with what was happening there. Neat. I liked it. On to 25. Nightwing and Robin on the cover. They saved on the ink on this page. There's a reason for it. Nightwing and Robin swing into the streets, or on top of a train, really, but they're blindfolded. What's going on here? It's a training exercise. Get it? Anyway, they're trying to heighten their senses. They're practicing of what's going on. They're blindfolded on top of a train, so they have to use all their other senses. It's an interesting thing, but I'll go ahead and just tell you right now, because again, for time, we had to read so many issues this time. This is the whole thing. Everything that happens here takes place on top of this train. So there's actually some pretty cool stuff. But like, it's just the boys talking. It's boy talk. This is the issue. Nightwing issue 25 is boy talk. How old is Tim? His girlfriend's pregnant. So what now? And I had to like figure, I don't know who they're talking about because I don't know the storyline. So I don't know what's going on. She's a vigilante. Her dad is the clue master, whoever this is. So like, what now? But also, what? What now? Was a lot of what I was saying as I was reading through this because I did not understand. But anyway, yeah, they go through. It's just them talking throughout all this stuff, their personal lives of what's going on. Someone got involved with Huntress. I do a double read, like a double take, to understand it was Dick and not also Tim, who seems to get around. That's not what but for a second, that's what I was thinking because I didn't understand. But no, it was Nightwing and Huntress, which, remember I said before, we'll get to that as well. So anyway, there's a bit here while they're on the train, and the train's passing over a bridge, under a bridge, I should say. And what's on the bridge are some people dropping giant pieces of like concrete and bricks onto a train. What is going on? Are they going to go do something about that? That's something like that seems either dangerous or illegal, or probably both. But no, it's a game. You have to keep the blindfold on. This is more than a training exercise. Now they're playing a game. So that does, I guess those guys just get away with it, whatever they were doing for that reason. Who knows? Anyway, you get a lot of talking. You get some, they talk about Jason a bit, the other Robin, right? I know a little bit of what's going on there. Still never really get a whole lot of it, but there's something. There's some bad guys getting on the train to steal some VCRs. Hot commodity back in the day. I can see that. It's funny to see it from today's perspective, but it's 20 years ago, so it makes sense what they're doing and everything there. They did at some point in here mention the earthquake. Gotham's in ruins and the population's half of what it was a few years ago, and so this is all the stuff that. Okay, here I got a little confused. I didn't understand this. I know Batman had his back broken. Obviously, we just read through all of what happened, with the Batcave and that stuff. Jason, sure, I get that. He even died a couple times himself. Batman died a few times. Like, I get that they do replace some of, like, right? How many Robins have there been? And they're doing that kind of stuff. But as far as I know, I don't think there have been multiple Batmans besides like people taking the cowl, like Dick did at one point after his back was broken. But I thought it was always Bruce Wayne. I thought it was the same guy every time. So I don't know about that. I literally know nothing about it. But anyway, gotta defeat the bad guys. Again, stay blindfolded. That's the game. Nightwing's talking about, this is boy talk, so beat bad guys, back to talking while they're on the train of what's going on here. I didn't see this one coming. Nightwing was talking about how they need more than a vigilante, and so he's going to become a cop. He took an exam. What? I didn't see that. You also get a little moment here. The train's going to take a turn and they're not expecting it. Robin's really doing his best to keep up this whole time. It kind of shows it's an interesting, clearly they're passing it down, right? This was something that Batman did with Nightwing when he was the Robin. So now he's doing it because Batman's kind of mopey, I guess, is what they were getting at from everything here. But anyway, then you got to, you jump over to the other train so they can make their way back because of course you can. Right at the end, it's just them being goofy. So I'll tell Batman about you and Huntress. Clearly, I'm guessing Batman and Huntress, did they have a thing? No, maybe not. I don't know. Still haven't figured that out yet. But again, they're bringing up Huntress a few times. I wonder why. Maybe because she's on the cover of issue 26. Now, I know of her just purely from the name of what's going on here. So there are still a few things that they kind of reveal as we read more of this. angle of attack. This is issue 26. We are in the home stretch now. The last 4 issues here to tell you it's all kind of an arc that's all finally related to each other. We had some other ones here or there throughout all this of like mini arc and, you know, or a one shot almost with him trying to solve that crime. Now we're into one after the next, and this is where it really starts picking up. Somebody's getting choked here. Gee, I wonder what's going on here. Well, it's the doctor, you know, says that. So Soames is back. He's up and ready and murdering, because of course he is. Why not? Dudley Soames is back, and now the dying starts. Well, these guys look like they're about to die. But that's not from him. That's from Huntress. There she is. Huntress is here and looking for someone called Turk Frimunda. Sure, Turk. All right, easy enough. So yeah, I know very little about Huntress. I don't know what her deal is or anything. I found it interesting that she specifically said there was just one reason why she was leaving them alive. So maybe she doesn't follow the same kind of rules like the Bat Crew does. And then just straight into like some really heavy, oh my God, just like one after the next with some of these issues and some really heavy topics of what's going on here, right? The mother and her child, she's got this baby and they're up on a building and she's going to jump. And there she goes. Oh no, what's happening? But I'll tell you, I mean, I'm covering it up, you know, for spoilers of just so you didn't instantly see, but obviously he saves the kid. He has to. The only child that falls to their death in any of these issues is Jason Todd. Apparently. Time and time again, we see that happen. And then we cut to these guys who are probably not the best, because that seems to be how it goes. But this is Turk, right? That's who she's looking for. Huntress is looking for this guy. I'm not sure that they said exactly why yet there, but then you get this guy. This guy's cool. This is Cisco. And my immediate thought was, oh, maybe he's going to set up the Huntress with some business networking equipment. Cisco's a brand now. If you don't get that, Google it. Anyway, so look, Nightwing actually is finally, I mean, Dick is actually finally getting to hang out with the landlady there, and they're, you know, I suppose dating, apparently, something like that. And then, you know, Amygdala, you still see that. Everything's good. They're hanging out. This is their hotel, I suppose, or are they back in the building? I actually didn't make a note of whether or not they were back there or not. That is quite a door. Lock and lock and locks and locks and locks. So yeah, new apartment. So maybe they are back already. Maybe the building's been finished refurbishing and everything. And then like Clancy, the landlady's got a ridiculous home theater set up. I got a nice juicy raise from the new owner of the building. Interesting. Now hold on. Is that a conflict of interest? He now owns the building and is dating the landlady and giving her raises without her knowing it, and then taking advantage of the surround sound theater system. Anyway, Tad's back. Tad's all healed up. Oh, also Nightwing ran out on her yet again. He really knows how to treat him. And then Tad's back. He's out there looking, not Tad, Nightwing's out there. He saw the news of what was happening in some bodies, and so he goes and the plot congeals. I was like, ugh. Nightwing's trying to figure out what's going on, so now we're into, you know, like I said, we're into an arc now for real, so you don't get all the answers in one issue. So he's trying to narrow it down. He's doing his, you know, detecting of that stuff, and then Turk's there. Uh-oh, look who found him. Huntress. Next issue. Issue 27. Now, I think I mentioned at one point, probably before I even started reading all of these comics, somebody pointed out to me in one of the comic shops as I was buying all these old back issues, is that every couple of issues, Nightwing is all tied up for some reason. And I don't know if this is the first instance of someone being tied up on a cover of Nightwing, and it's not him. It's definitely the first issue. I'm pretty sure it's the first instance of someone else who was not him. I don't know if this is the first instance of someone just being tied up on a cover of Nightwing. Anyway, there's this. And we open up to gruesome footage. Just casually, you know, eating while he's reviewing morgue footage to understand what's happening. But, you know, he's got bigger problems. That bigger problems is Clancy throwing his bowl of popcorn? Well, he was eating it with a spoon, maybe cereal, all over him. But either way, understandably, she's pretty upset because he bailed once again. But what the takeaway from all of this, besides mad girlfriend issues is they found paper in the bodies' throats. He's trying to solve these crimes. He's trying to figure out why bodies are turning up, and there's paper in the body. That's weird. The phrase that's said here is "tataratat," and all I can think of there is some Bob's Burgers where they were mimicking a machine gun and saying "rat-a-tat-a-tat" over and over. That's what I thought of, but anyway. Who does he turn to? He's got to turn to Oracle, of course. That's where he goes to. We get some back and forth there with Turk. I don't think anything really exciting happens there. And then we're back with Nightwing. He's now tracking some stuff down here. And his girlfriend, the Huntress. So now, how do these just random guys, know about that? Were they seen in public, Nightwing and Huntress, in previous somewhere? I should see if I have any of that story arc, that Nightwing and Huntress story arc. But anyway, these guys give him that information, and then he comes back, although he doesn't come back. Somebody else comes back and blows up the place with a gun, shoots up the place. There's a lot of gun shooting. And now all the guys are dead, like we thought at the beginning. What? Reb Milton's not limber. Another paper. So there's the guy, right? This is the bad that they're trying to figure out what's going on, leaving paper behind and showing up and shooting things. I didn't catch it at first when they talked about the gun, but they talk about the gun as a clue. We'll get to that. But first, Tad. Tad's trying to figure out what's going on. Oh, actually, okay, I missed it. So they talk about it here, and I didn't figure it out until much later on, like not even in this issue. They talk about the gun, and they talk about 45 caliber rounds and 100 of them from the same gun. And they went, only one model gun holds 145s. Kind of makes you nostalgic. I completely missed this, didn't understand it all because I didn't know what kind of gun would hold that. My first thought when I read that part and I didn't get it, and I just went, what how do they know? You can't reload? Anyway, not to spoil it, but guess what kind of gun holds 45? I actually Googled it to find out what kind of gun holds 45 rounds at 100 of them. It's a Tommy gun. So we see a bit here. We left off last time with Huntress like stalking from the rooftops, that Turk guy, and then she's in here, like climbing in through the window, and there's Cisco and Zap. So here we're back with the bad guys here. You got Turk. What's going on? But they're being pulled over by police. That's weird. And then like there's a guy suddenly on the roof of their car. Uh-oh. So it's Nightwing. What's Nightwing going on here? Doesn't make any sense. But also Nightwing has to just let him go because he gets a gun pulled on him with everything like that. That was his car. He was the police officer in this situation. Remember all those bodies of the car shop, the car that he made a long time ago, last time we talked about it, and then he used it a few times and then it disappeared for this entire bit. It's back, and now he put a cop car body on top of it because it's just a hot swappable car. Anyway, so there we go. Cisco zapped her and then tied her up, and that's why she's tied up on the cover. Cool. So here I learn a bit about Huntress. You go after mobs. So she goes after mobs. She's apparently known to these people because I guess they have a mob that they know what it is. She's not like the other ones, and she doesn't share their methods. You like your justice rougher and got a knife and everything. Yeah, I'm learning a bit more about Huntress here. But then who interrupts these two right there as they're having their little stare down situation here? It's Mr. Tommy Gun. So who's got the Tommy Gun? Well, I didn't figure it out just from this image, although if you're paying attention or if you already know, you know who it is, but it's not Soames anymore. He goes by Torque, which is an honestly better name. I don't know if I ever once pronounced his name correctly from before because it's a weird spelling pronunciation, but Torque, I know that. I can pronounce that, and it makes sense. His head's still turned around, and he's got these special glasses that allow him to see backwards behind him. And didn't they treat him with like some kind of, chemical experimental drug thing? And so now he's essentially kind of super speed on his own and like, yeah, he's a bad guy. What was that, like 20 issues to get him to that point? But now he's Torque. At least I can pronounce his name. I'll just mention it also, these covers here, in case you were paying attention. We had 25, 26, 27, back and forth. This next one's 28. It's all Nightwing and Huntress in various positions. So 28. Now Huntress is on top. And Nightwing looks to be in some bad shape. But he's not there yet. He's flipping through the city, because of course he is. And here's a mention of why you haven't seen the car so much. Because there's so many, let's see, what did he say here? Everything's twisted. Interstates, through roads and freeways. No road goes here. No road goes from here to there in a straight line, and they're under repair all the time, which is why he can go fast. He is, remember from last time, he was pretending to be the cop, so he's chasing after Turk, trying to beat him home, and he can do it to get back to their condo and continue their little talk. But we've got other storyline to attend to here. It's Torque. Torque lighting up the place with all of his guns and everything here. But then Huntress wasn't completely disarmed and says something about taking too much advantage while she was unconscious. So there's that stuff. She has knife boots. And so obviously gets away through all of that, of what's happening here. So remember, Nightwing's heading to that condo to see Turk. Well, everybody's there. And so Nightwing arrives and gets tased. And that's where the cover comes from. She tases him. So he's tased, but then he wakes up and they leave. What's going on there? He's being woken up by the Oracle, who's telling him, oh, I figured out some of the clues. Those messages, the paper that the guy was leaving at the murder scenes and everything are palindromes. But he's interrupted by them coming home to find the place all shot up and everything's, not so good with what's going on here, Turk. And somebody shot up the place. So Turk's back to his condo. It's a lot of finger pointing. Nobody quite has a full picture of what's going on here. Oracle was even saying, wait, Huntress is involved? No, it's not her specifically. They're all trying to piece it together to figure out exactly what's happening. So then Huntress knows what's going on. So you get a bit here. They're in the car. They're driving. Everything here that's happening. She's talking with Cisco, and he's trying to get closer to Roland Desmond, which is Blockbuster we talked about. And she said, you'll end up with your head facing the wrong way. So she knew about that and what was going on there. How does Huntress know what? Anyway, then you get Mr. Head on backwards with what's going on there. He's having to remove a knife from his leg because that's what she did to him. Oh, look, it's Batman. Everything's finally coming together. I haven't really talked about it because it was a little boring to me and did not understand. I'm more interested in the superhero with what's going on, but obviously this is the crime part of it and what they're trying to solve. It's all coming together at this point here. There's tons of reconstruction projects that were planned here in the city, in Gotham, but also, I guess, in Bloodhaven with what's happening there. You get Turk, and then there's this guy. He's been around for a bit. I don't think I've talked about him specifically with what's happening there. But the reason for all of that is because this guy is the duly elected union president. He's going to give Turk, the union, the entire, the whole thing is all a money move. It's all there so that they can have seats on all of these projects, and everything is going to run through the union. He's controlling the whole situation. It's just money. That's the whole crime here of what's happening, is it's all for a money play. But they also get loaded up in the car so that they can get him to a safe location. But, Cisco's there, but also he figures out that Cisco's but guess who's driving? Yeah. Sorry, what? Really? This was an advertisement for Ocarina of Time back in the day? Really? Didn't know that. Potatoes of couch. I think it was because I wasn't really that interested. We had so many characters. There's so much going on at this point. Torque has shown up. I just leaning more towards, instead of the more usual crime of these guys and the unions and the entire thing there. It's interesting. I mean, you talk about The Wire with that whole union. It's not that it wasn't that interesting to me, but this just didn't grab me as much, as I was more focusing on what the superheroes are doing, what the vigilantes are up to. Why is all this stuff going on? And Huntress and what's going on with that. So I didn't really pay that much attention to the union side of it until it all revealed at the end. I went, oh, okay, that's what's going on here. Cool. Anyway, all the players are kind of coming together in one location. Torque, legitimately right here. Huntress is being followed by Nightwing, who's being followed by Torque, who's being followed by Cisco, maybe? No, wait, Cisco's all tied up. Anyway, coming together in this final conclusion of everything that's happening here at once. We're all there. They're all in one location. She busts through to put a stop to everything that's happening here. And that's the end of this issue. 29. To round us out here. Again, Huntress, Nightwing on the cover. This time their suits are all torn up, so maybe we'll see that in this issue. You'd think, considering the theme. Anyway, he's got to do a little bit of a recap, because of course you do. You know, you never know when you might have somebody this is their first issue, so you have to recap, or maybe they've forgotten because these come out monthly, and I can barely remember from one day to the next when I'm reading these things, and that's why I take notes. Month to month, oof. Anyway, Huntress is in Bloodhaven, right? She's there. As far as he knows, she's the one leaving a trail of bodies all over the town. Although I've yet to see her use a gun in any situation. It's all been knives. So I'm a little confused why he thinks that she's the one. Maybe it's just because she does kill, and clearly that's the behavior that put her at odds with Batman. Maybe. Anyway, he's got to take care of these Union guys, and she's got to take care of Turk, that guy that we've been talking about for a while. He's going to take over the Unions there, maybe. And so she's got a knife up his nose, but she gets grabbed. Uh-oh. Speaking of getting grabbed, in order to save her, get her out of the way, Nightwing grabs her and they roll into a giant cylindrical tube, concrete tube of some kind. Anyway, there's Cisco. And guess who's there? Oh, right. I summed up these two. I summed up everything that's happening here to that as fight, fight, fight. Kiss, kiss, kiss. I find this interesting. We're back inside here. Torque is pouring out some gasoline. For a guy who's got his head on backwards, I know he had some rehabilitation, but he really... he really can pour a really pretty font. What? How do you do that with your head on backwards? Anyway, so now the building's on fire and Nightwing knows someone's alive in there. It sounds like Blaine, and that was their partner. And she goes, he was a convenience. I got what I needed. Let him burn. Not on my watch. What a surprise. Nightwing's got to jump into there. But, Torque. I mean, Soames. But Torque. And also, like, so he does, he pointed the gun at him. And then he turns his head around, which means he turns his whole body around so you can show him, so that you can see him specifically instead of seeing him through the glasses, so that then he can point his gun over his shoulder and shoot him. Okay, sure. Yep. That was necessary. I guess because he wanted the reveal. He needed him to know exactly what's going on. And here we go. This sums it all up. Nightwing's going in there to save Cisco. Too many players, too many things I don't understand. No kidding, dude. Me too. Reading through all this, I was very lost and very confused. So Nightwing saves Cisco and then discovers who's been shooting everybody. So it starts coming together, right? What we've known for several issues, because of course we have. He's finally figuring it out. Who's been killing people with the 45 caliber bullets. It's not actually Huntress with what's going on. And he discovers Soames, although, Torque. That's his new name. Also Huntress here, in order to save them with what's going on, cuts a cable and releases these gigantic concrete cylinders. She maybe doesn't think things through, according to Nightwing in his opinion. Yeah, that was stupid. What did you think would happen when you cut those cables? Well, saved his life. She's got a point. He's got a point. So they escape. Everything that's happening here. That means that after all the action's over, in the calm, they've got to have a whole my way is best. She's like, how can you stay to that code? And then how can you not? And everything that's happening here. Of course, you got to have the back and forth. Not cops. Blockbuster's got his own team in there to do the cleanup. They're getting out of there. It looks like a war zone. Yes. At the end of all of this stuff, there's a little thing here that I didn't exactly understand, but it's interesting that, she gives him crap for his car. Says draws less attention than a Lamborghini. And she says, ooh, that hurt. Does she drive a Lamborghini? At some point in here, I mentioned it. I don't know where I was in my notes with everything, that I learned Huntress is a full-time school teacher and she drives a Lamborghini and is a vigilante taking down mobsters with knives. She's an interesting character that I know very little about. Anyway, Torque is still alive. And then to end us out, some talking in the car. They clearly have a history that I don't know anything about. And they're talking here about, I thought it was interesting. Nightwing was like, I used to spend my life wondering what you and I would be like. Now it's a if I knew then what I know now situation. And if he knows what he knows about her. So maybe she hid that from them. That's maybe what I'm getting here is that, they didn't know that she would become a murderous rampage. But also, he's not like, trying to arrest her or anything. I mean, not arrest, but I guess, he's not a cop yet. There was that thing about the entrance exam. It's a weird sticky situation here, right? With them, clearly they have nothing left to say. Literally, it ends with that's it, and that's it, and that's how the arc ends. What? So yeah, I thought it was cool. I'll say that as like it was really interesting. We had some ups and downs throughout this whole thing of like, didn't know anything about the earthquake. And then that gets wrapped up in another issue, which is okay. And then there's this Tad stuff that's going on and is clearly going to continue. This was literally just like a whole other, if I'd gotten the other issues. And then we get into like the best part of all of this was the story arc at the end, but I still have way more questions than I started with. Comics. I guess that's how it goes. It's really interesting. I do want to check out to see whether or not I have any of the issues of this Nightwing and Huntress arc, and maybe I can learn a little bit more about that. I don't know anything about her as a character, but it was really cool the way that they handled all that. I thought it was neat. There we go. That's what we read. That's what I thought about it. I liked it. Overall, really enjoyed it. Thought it was really cool. I was lost at a lot of points there. I was bored with some and interested in a lot of others. I thought it was really interesting. I overall really liked it. I got lost a lot, and so it was hard to follow. I assume the Union thing is all wrapped up now, and so we're moving on. So I legitimately have no idea where it's going in issue 30. I assume we're going to start out with another arc, and they're going to introduce more things. I don't know if Huntress is going to be around. They just have this awkward moment in the cars they drive off, and then it's like, all right, we'll see you later. Have fun murdering people, which I don't agree with, and should maybe stop you. And yet they seem to be cool with it. I don't know. That's comics, I guess. We'll find out next time. Bye.